Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining XROM Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Avil, and XROM Podcast was designed with a singular vision, and that is to shape, celebrate, and showcase India's AR/VR MR growth story, and to help you understand about this transformational technology which holds potential to change the way we live, work, and play. Happy to have with me Ninad Chhaya, one of the early movers of India's gaming industry. He's been part of companies such as India Games, Wits India, Jump Games, Play Casso, Robosoft Technologies, and he is presently the COO at Wits Interactive and co-founder at GoPhygital. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. It's a pleasure to have you over here, Ninad.
Likewise.
Thank you for joining us on the XROM podcast. So let me, because your career started in the gaming space, so let me
Right.
start by the gaming. So how has the gaming industry evolved here in India specifically?
Mhm.
And what do you think the gaming industry future holds for India?
I mean, I kind of got into gaming in the mid 90s, and I've pretty much been in the gaming space for almost 2 decades now.
Right.
And it has been an interesting journey. I mean, what started for me as a hobby and a passion became a profession. And ever since the early days of gaming, I've seen uh, both the ecosystem evolve as well as the awareness kind of increase as the years go by.
Right.
I think what kind of changed in recent times, while gaming was always kind of seen as a uh, career objective for people to pursue or as a industry,
Right.
I think the mobile ecosystem really helped get that hockey stick going.
Right.
And especially after the Play Store and the App Store came in, the Google Play Store and App Store, and in recent times, what we today call as the geo phenomenon. Today, we have the cheapest data rates globally.
Yeah.
And that really opened up the floodgates. I would say that the hardware became affordable. You get really good quality smartphones
Right.
for a very less price point. I mean, 5,000, 6,000 rupees. And then the data rates became cheaper. So people who had never experienced gaming before suddenly became casual gamers looking at mobile games, and they started playing games on their mobile phones. And the mobile became their primary entertainment device. Right? So today, even if you look at the OTT space, a lot of traffic today comes from the mobile devices, all your Hotstar and Netflix and the Amazon Primes. A lot of consumers are consuming video content on mobile.
Yeah.
And the same goes with gaming. And as days go by, we see this evolving. We see the whole gaming experience now going to the next level. I mean, what was earlier single player casual games, people would play Angry Birds, people would play Temple Run. Off late, for good or bad reasons, PUBG has been in the news at every point of time. I mean, I think in India it's been more from a negative connotation which it has got in the media.
Right.
But you suddenly see kids playing multiplayer games using voice chat, which was again thanks to the data penetration, right? I mean, you see people forming clans and playing games, and as days go by, I think it will become a lot more fun with augmented reality also getting integrated. What Pokemon Go was 3 years ago,
Right.
right? Suddenly, Pokemon Go made AR a household name. People were walking on streets, bumping into things, trying to collect and going to Pokestops. We will see a lot more such content coming in, both in the gaming space, on mobile and handhelds, where people will be looking at much more immersive experiences. It is no longer something which you just sit in a corner and play it. It's going to be out there interacting with your day-to-day life.
So yeah, I mean, gaming and immersive technology, I think that's intrinsically connected. Yeah, and it could play a role in accelerating adoption of gamers, because I mean, so far when you game, when you're a gamer, you restricted to a 2D platform. You know?
Sure.
I mean, when you get immersed in the game, I think the excitement level for a gamer would like really go up. So obviously there are these negatives of it also. So, but what do you think the future looks like with immersive games?
It's really fantastic that what so far you were kind of on one side of the screen and you were a player of the game. With immersive tech like AR and especially virtual reality, you suddenly become a part of the game. Right? I mean, you are inside the game and you are experiencing the game. So think about you playing Call of Duty wearing a haptic suit in VR. And the minute somebody shoots at you in the game, you get that haptic feedback on your VR suit.
That's so cool.
And that takes you to the next level,
Right.
right? I mean, a lot of people whom I talk with and who are kind of getting just introduced to the immersive tech space and want to understand what is AR and VR.
Right.
And I kind of draw an analogy. I mean, I've grown up watching films, and apart from games, films is the next big thing for me.
Right.
And I give them an analogy saying, hey, AR is what Tony Stark does in his lab, right? I mean, how do you kind of get people to visualize what AR is? And like what Iron Man sees in his helmet,
right,
that's augmented reality. It's augmenting what you're doing.
right.
And VR is what Neo did in the Matrix. You plug in into the Matrix, and you can learn to fly a helicopter, you can learn kung fu, and you can shoot down a building full of bad guys all the time, also experiencing it. I mean,
Right.
I don't know if you remember that scene from the Matrix.
Yeah, I love that. It's my favorite movie.
Yeah, he's getting hit, and you see Neo shaking because
Right.
in the world, it's so real, right? It's
Right.
And for all you know, we might actually be living in a simulation like Elon Musk said. I mean,
Look at the gaming side. You know where we're going. We just pushing towards the ultra photorealistic space,
Yes.
right? I mean, how far where we see even at this point in time, you know, when are these normal people first time who experience VR gaming, just simple as the plank walk,
right?
Even when they know before putting on the headset that they know that they're experiencing the plank walk right over here. There's no building, there's no deep gorge, you're not gonna fall down. But as soon as you put the headset on, you trick the head gets tricked, and you think that you just might drop down, and there are people who have fallen down. So right now, when the technology we still not photorealistic, but tomorrow maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line, when it gets photorealistic and with haptic feedback coming in,
right?
What would happen? What are your thoughts on that?
It is excitingly scary.
Yeah.
Because suddenly, like you rightly said, I mean, with Richie's Plank kind of an app, it becomes difficult to differentiate between what's real and what is virtual.
Right.
And now you add haptic feedback, you add the sense of smell. I think some company out there is also working on adding smell to VR.
Yeah.
Right. And then suddenly you change the whole paradigm. Right. I mean, you put on the headset with all these senses attached, and you could be in a totally different world. You could create your own universes, and you could live an alternate life.
Exactly.
Right. What Ready Player One was about.
It's all about.
Right. And I think for me that was a fantastic, both as a book to read and as a movie to watch, because that is the potential possibilities. You have a parallel universe where you exist as who you want to be, not who you are.
Exactly.
And that could actually be, like I said, excitingly scary place to be.
So talking about the simulation smell, somebody simulating the smell. I think Rahman's film. Rahman's done a VR film. It's called Le Musk, and I've had a conversation with this producer, and I think it's up for release next year. They're simulating smell for their VR film. So coming back to the gaming side of the Matrix thing.
Right.
So recently I read this. I didn't go through the white paper. There was this white paper which the CEO of Ubisoft wrote on how gaming development is increasingly tilting towards being machine learning and AI assisted. So do you see a future where a large chunk of creative game development could be done by AI?
Yes and a no. I mean, yes, as technology evolves, we will have increased dependency on AI and machine learning to at least help accelerate the process of game development, or for that matter, any software development. Today, AI can create and animate a lot of objects which are photorealistic or hyper-realistic.
Right.
So while the initial part might need a human to conceptualize things, a lot of the processes will be automated such that the production process, the turnaround time of building out a game and launching it in the market could actually get cut down. I mean, earlier, a few years ago, or even now for that matter, if you're building a AAA title on console, it is at least a 3 to 4 year development cycle.
Right.
With AI and machine learning, you might be able to crunch that into a smaller time frame such that you can iterate it and launch it and learn from it and again evolve the game per se.
Right.
So yeah, I think AI ML will play a role pretty much not just in gaming, across everywhere. I mean, people are saying AI might be able to create a movie someday.
Exactly. In fact, in a small way, I think they're already doing in stuff. AI obviously been creating music.
Yeah.
Successfully. They've actually done some collaboration with some artists where they've done some songs,
Sure.
and AI has cut a little bit of a movie or done some movie with human. Yeah, it's. I'm just thinking about when will the game start playing the people. It's like people are playing the game right now.
Right.
When will
Right.
the game
Right.
start playing the people? So I see that maybe someday might be possible with AI. Where
Absolutely. I think I was just reading this article recently that earlier Deep Blue was kind of the first AI software
right, right,
which
right,
bet a human,
right,
like in chess, right?
right,
And then Google had its own AI software which uh, won the Go game,
right,
right?
right,
But so far it was more of versus one player, single
right,
player.
right,
I was reading an article recently where there's an AI algorithm which is being built or already out there, which is now able to play with multiple players
right, right,
and the ability to play against each of them simultaneously and figure out their moves and win the game. And that
right,
is something which is really fantastic, right? I
right,
mean, earlier you were only with one opponent, but to be able to figure out the moves of the different players in the games,
right, right,
and it could be any game. It need not be a board game. It could be
right,
a shooter game.
right,
And you're playing a Call of Duty, and the AI is actually winning because it's figured out what your move is going to be. If you're a sniper,
right.
it knows exactly where you are going to be and will kind of find out and
Wow,
shoot you
wow.
back.
Do share more details on GoPhygital
Okay.
and the immersive tech
Hmm?
solutions that you provide.
Sure. So GoPhygital, like you mentioned earlier during our conversation, is an immersive tech focused company. We work
Right,
with businesses across industries who are looking to use immersive tech like AR, VR, mixed reality,
right,
and even gaming or gamification next thing to help them solve a business problem or a pain point. It could be in training, it could be in learning and development, it could be in
right,
brand engagement. So we work with companies across sectors like pharma, healthcare,
right,
automobile manufacturing,
right,
and understand what is it that they're trying to achieve,
right,
be it for their internal stakeholders or external stakeholders, and create tech-driven solutions, immersive tech-driven solutions
right,
on that. So, for example, last year we did safety training simulation, VR simulation for the Mahindra Group,
right,
where the whole idea was that they were looking to train their shop floor workers
right,
in the tractor division on best practices on how to load heavy machinery, how to unload charges from a furnace.
right,
And so far, the conventional was classroom training, right? I mean, a person would kind of show PowerPoint slides. But the challenge they were facing was a lot of the newcomers were kind of wanting to learn it experientially. I mean, the new generation.
right,
And the other challenge was people with enough experience, people who were working as a part of their group for 10, 15 years, were getting complacent and could actually miss out on a few key things,
right,
which could potentially lead to a disaster. I mean, you load anything in a furnace the wrong way, it could create an explosion and it could lead to loss of life and machinery.
right, right,
So we created this virtual reality based training simulation where we simulated the entire process of how to load the charge, what to do, what are the steps to be followed, and if you do not do that, what could happen.
right,
And the feedback we got from them was amazing. They said, look, we have never been able to explain to people
right,
how dangerous it is if you don't do
right,
things the right way. But
right,
VR has been able to achieve
right,
it.
right,
Likewise, with augmented reality, we've done a bunch of projects. We did something for Total Quads to
right,
train, again, it was more of a brand awareness campaign which they were doing, and we use AR and we use vernacular languages like
right.
Hindi, Malayalam, Kannada, and Telugu
Lovely, lovely.
to train and to inform the garage mechanics, the dealers about the benefits of using a car engine oil to enhance the engine life.
Right,
Likewise, we also, and interestingly, the way GoPhygital came about, and we were talking earlier that WITS was something which my co-founder Hitesh and I started when
right,
we were back in college in the mid 90s, and then I moved out and got into my gaming gig. And 3 years ago, I came back to the mothership,
right,
and we were talking about what's next. I mean, and I was telling him about why I think AR VR is kind of the next frontier,
right,
and how kids are, and even kids today are increasingly dependent on screens, digital
right,
screens. And the way GoPhygital came about was my daughter back then this was around 2016, and she was
right.
like 2.5. And she's a digital native, right? Most kids this
Yeah, they all,
generation.
yeah, exactly.
And Hitesh, my co founder, is very fond of her. And he said, you know what, you need to cut down her screen time. And I was like, dude, I agree to you. I mean, I'm not denying that the screen time needs to be uh, something which is a concern, but she's 2.5. She can't read. I just happened to say, but what if a book could read back to her? And that was our Eureka moment where I said, oh, you know what? You could actually create an AR app where the book came to life and kind of interacted with the child. And we started working on a product along with a partner of ours in Germany, which is an AR-based language learning product, which teaches English to preschool kids. And that pretty much started, that's how also GoPhygital started saying, hey, you can leverage AR and VR to make it a lot more immersive and a lot more fun. And it's been a fantastic journey. We just did a couple of VR games for leading FMCG brand, P&G, and I think we are just beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Complete believer. That's the reason I personally have been invested in this since 2016. Yeah, though, since we on a positive note, I just want to get something negative over here. Like AI has gone through its various winters, and so has AR.
Absolutely.
VR, there's been various obituaries which has been written. VR is dead and this and but you know, I see VR, for me personally, I think VR is that evil dead. It rises up again and again, and when it rises up, it's becoming like a bigger monster.
Yes.
Maybe in a, I don't know whether it's a nice way, good way, or bad way, but this is my personal this thing thought about AR. What are your thoughts about AR VR? Because in India, I personally see that education and awareness has been a major problem, and people, that there's not many people who still see the impact what AR VR can have. So
yeah, I think like you rightly said, Eddie, it's lack of awareness. I think partly we as the people within the ecosystem are also to be blamed.
Right.
I mean, we are trying to do our best, but at the same time, it's never enough. Right. I think there are conferences now happening. Immersion VR was a fantastic platform.
Thank you.
And but the thing what I told you back then also, it was people within the community.
Right.
We are a very incestuous ecosystem where we only talk amongst ourselves. What we need to do is get the people from on the fringe and the marketeers, and get them on board and make them. There are people out there who are actually very savvy and they understand. But they're very far and few. We need to make it a lot more democratized.
Exactly. No, so completely. I've been with you on it, and the next year, we will definitely look at getting more marketeers onto the platform. So you know, they also. I mean, we grow the business because eventually it's all about growing the business,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, so and they're the ones who hold the market, and
and coming to your thing about VR and many obviously yes, there are opportunities which have been written, but it's a if you look at any technology as it evolves, right? I mean, 25 years back, the mobile device, the mobile phone was a brick, right? And I remember when I got my first mobile phone, I was paying 32 rupees for outgoing and 16 rupees for incoming as a call rate.
Wow.
And this was like, and the phone weighed like half a kg.
Yeah, and this was not even a long time back.
This was not. This was like the mid 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And today you see, I mean, and kids today possibly have no clue about that. Maybe kids today have not even seen the regular dial phone which MTNL used to have.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm sure these guys have not seen the regular dial phone.
My daughter uses FaceTime much more comfortably.
That's an antique piece for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
And but today you see where it has come, right? The whole mobile ecosystem. I think likewise with AR and VR as well. The challenge with VR also has been that unlike AR, which is kind of today every smartphone is an AR-enabled device. With VR, you need an additional headset, right? Which means you need to kind of invest extra in that, and then the content needs to be there. Now, all these headsets. I mean, the cheapest headset or the lowest entry is the cardboard, where the experience is not that awesome. You do get a basic experience, but then the end user feedback is also that they don't go away wowed.
Exactly.
But you give somebody an HTC Vive, or I just tried out the Oculus Quest.
Wow. Yeah.
And you get blown away with the potential, the possibilities, because you suddenly are looking at content which is amazing.
Right.
The hardware is there. It's a bit expensive,
Right.
but I think as days go by, once the hardware becomes a lot more affordable,
Right.
I think both AR and VR will explode. I mean, today already every iPhone out there
Right.
is AR enabled. I mean,
Right.
AR Kit 3 just got announced at the Worldwide Developer Conference by
Right.
Apple 2 days ago,
Right.
which has body tracking and all
Right.
those aspects. So AR is no longer going to be just a part of what you see. You will
Right.
actually be able to interact. This is part of the environment you are interacting with.
Right.
Microsoft has the HoloLens, which again kind of makes it a lot more surreal, the whole mixed reality experience. It's just a matter of, I think, making it available to the masses.
Right. Right.
Once that happens, I think VR will also reach that inflection point.
Right.
And then you'll also start creating content because you know
Right.
there's an audience out there.
Right. Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
you'll start building content for that, and
Right.
that's how the market will grow.
So yes, I mean there's a lot of times I guess we normally right now I think technology is in the space where it's no longer taking the linear path. It's
Sure.
it's on that exponential space.
Yes.
So I'm very excited about it, and glad that Facebook is really push driving the ecosystem with the Oculus Quest. I'm really excited about it, and I hope that plays a catalyst role in the adoption. I really hope that Facebook and the other players
Sure.
like look at India as a market.
Yeah.
So
1.3 billion people are a difficult people to ignore, man.
exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
we need
Yeah,
all the big boys to look at India and say, hey, what can we do different? I mean, people are always comparing India and China, and I'm like, there's no comparison. These are two different beasts.
right.
You can't tame a Chinese dragon the Indian way, and you can't tame an Indian tiger the Chinese way.
So tell me, I mean, on the website, I did see a lot of services and solutions that you been providing.
Sure.
Is there any products that you're building, which is?
So the way we look at, so the way the group is structured, we started off as a services company, even as a parent company with
Right.
Interactive. But we call it the bread, butter, jam model.
Right.
So the services is the bread and butter of the
Right.
business.
Right.
And on the sides of it, we kind of start investing in IP
Right.
on the side and building out IPs, which kind of turn out to be the jam for us, which are the long-term value creators.
Right.
And in fact, the project which we started back in 2016, the AR-based language learning product,
Right.
that is now getting spun off as an independent entity, and kind of that's going to go mass market. We kind of incubated it as a service-based project for a while,
Right.
but now it's kind of taken a life of its own.
Right.
And that's kind of where something we incubate it, we build it out, and then we say, okay, is it ready enough to get launched?
Right.
So likewise, we have a couple of other things. The other AR plus AI thing, which we spoke about again.
Right.
We've been toying around with that idea for almost an year and a half now.
Right.
And now we think that the time is right to start building out an MVP for that. The idea is that, yes, the services will keep on kind of paying the bills,
Right.
so to speak, right? I mean, we would love to be a product company, but then you also have bills to pay.
Right.
And
Exactly.
Product development itself is a long haul.
Yeah. Completely.
Right?
Completely.
So,
Yeah.
but whichever concept we find has value, we kind of keep seeding it, and then when the time is right, we launch it in the open market.
For us, like being in the service business, because we've been providing service and content to enterprise as well as consumers. So I have faced a lot of these problems where people have this notion that AR, VR, MR is a very expensive technology.
Sure.
So that kind of I see that as a hindrance. Has that been like a problem for you? To acquiring clients or getting work done?
It has been a challenge, yes. I think any new technology, people kind of are a bit skeptical about adapting to it.
Right.
Possibly because, like we've been talking about, the lack of awareness of what is the potential, what it can do for them.
Right.
And they kind of try to draw analogies and comparing it with what they're currently using. So for them, an AR experience, they would say, oh, but I've done this 2D animation. And uska to itna 2 lakh mein hi ho gaya tha. Why are you charging me so much for an AR or a VR thing?
Yeah.
And then you have to explain to them. And the advantage is with AR and VR, unless, so till the time they don't experience it themselves,
right.
they are not kind of sold onto the idea that, hey, let me explore.
Right.
But once they experience it, and then that's what, whenever clients still say, send us a deck.
Right.
Like, sir, we'll send you a deck, but give 15 minutes of your time. Let me come and show you a VR experience or an AR
Right.
experience. And then you can go through our deck and talk to our, look at our credentials.
Right.
So once they experience it, then it becomes a lot more easier to kind of at least get a conversation going.
Right.
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 The first 8 to 10 months when we started GoPhygital went into at least even explaining the concept of AR VR.
Right.
Many to say AR, people would think Snapchat,
Right.
or people would think Pokemon. Go, right? And it was the whole idea was like, look, AR is a lot beyond Pokemon Go. Yes, Pokemon Go did a great thing about democratizing and making AR a household name,
Right.
but it's not just that game.
Right.
For us, it kind of helped where, because Pokemon Go and we are doing games as a service as well,
Right.
people would come to us and say, oh, I want a game like Pokemon Go.
Right.
And then the next line would be put off because they'd say, oh, I have a launch in 2 weeks and I want a
Right.
Pokemon Go kind of a game in 2 weeks.
Right.
And like, nahi ho sakta, sir. You want a game like Pokemon Go, we'll do it for you.
Right.
But it takes time, it takes effort to build out it. But now they're understanding that. We have had conversations with clients where saying, okay, this is my problem statement.
Right.
What do you suggest do we do and how long will it take?
Right.
So now we are having conversations where clients come with an open mind saying they just put the problem statement in front of us.
Right.
And from being a service provider, we have now moved to a solution partner kind of a level in the value chain.
Right.
We are no longer a vendor to some of our clients. Right. They actually come back to us and say, okay, what can we do? How do we solve this?
Right.
And then we say, okay, this is what we can do. These are the 2-3 approaches. It could be an AR, VR. It could just be a regular app.
Right.
Right. And this is how we solve it. We've done IoT solutions, location-based AR experiences using IoT and stuff. So I think slowly the trend is changing. People are getting a lot more aware.
Right.
And then they come back to us saying, okay, what can we do different?
Right.
Or they say, okay, show us what is happening globally in our domain.
Right.
And how can that be adopted in our business?
Right. Right.
So it is still tough. I'm not saying it's become any easier, right? And converting a prospect to a sale is always something which a salesman lives for. I mean, the highs and the lows, and you've been there as well. But it's fun. And kind of seeing people get into this whole thing, oh, now that's something you can do with AR, VR, and like, yes, that's what we're talking about.
The world is waiting for that one magic content, because I guess that's the always that one small thing which works as a catalyst, for mass adoption. Like maybe like the content which can drive that conversation towards mass adoption, or the use case for enterprise which everybody looks up and says, oh wow, even I want that. I want that. So do you think we've come close to that, or do we have like a...
So in some cases, yes, I think we are. So we need to identify, like you said, in enterprise, right? What is that one common thing which spans across industry? It doesn't matter whether you're in automobile or in manufacturing or in pharma. If you identify that one problem area which everybody faces today is learning and development. How do you keep your employees engaged, motivated, and efficient, and keep them upskilled? I mean, upskilling is a big challenge today. So if you have a solution which can crack that, and then and we hope we found the magic pill, because we have bounced off a few ideas with a few close partners of ours. That if you find that solution which can help a business cut down even on the training cost, and upskill their teams, and keep them motivated, especially the millennials who are kind of very digital savvy and stuff, that could help on the enterprise side. I mean, everything else will follow. Yes, a sales guy will need better sales tools. A marketing guy will need better campaigns. But the core is, how do you keep your workforce upskilled and trained, and they kind of are learning on their own. They should be motivated to learn on their own and experience things on their own. Likewise, I think on the consumer side, it is about how seamless the experience is. I mean, Nike launched a AR app which has a fairly accurate way of measuring your foot, and so e-commerce will be a big thing.
Exactly.
VR, right? I mean,
the mirror world.
I mean, IKEA's AR app has been brilliant. I mean, Tim Cook announced it on WWDC a couple of years ago for AR Kit. And the AR ecosystem will grow faster, like I said, because every smartphone today is AR enabled. Right. I mean, there are around 400 million Android devices out there today which are AR core enabled. Right. And every iPhone today, after the iPhone 5S, is AR enabled. Right. With iOS 13 coming out, they are looking at pushing the envelope on the AR front as well. Right. So people are betting big. It's just some way of finding the best use case depending on what industry you are in. Right. If you are in the eyewear space, and Lenskart has a AR, sort of an AR, not really an AR, but you kind of try out your frames. Right. A lot of real estate guys are using virtual reality to kind of give people an experience. Obviously, I'm not going to buy a house worth crores just by looking at a VR experience. But well,
it just adds on. I mean,
every small bit adds. Yeah. Right. And even from a marketer's point of view, you need to realize that we get asked this question a lot, and I'm sure you as well, that what is the ROI on this? Right. Yeah. And I said, look, it's not going to double your sales overnight. It's not the magic pill it's not snake oil. Yeah. Right. But at the same time, there are these little intangibles. Yeah. You will be seen as a thought leader in your own domain. Well, yeah, that's such a big thing, when you. But I guess people need to have that vision. I mean, when once people understand that, when you do something new and you push the envelope, you're doing something, and you are being. You're leading the movement. Sure. So I'm going to break this conversation over here. I'm just going to get back to you. Where as a development company, like what have been your experience dealing with the likes of maybe like a Facebook or a Microsoft, or you develop for these kind of people. Yes. So what have been the as an Indian development company, AR VR development company, what has been your experience in with these? So we work very closely with Microsoft in India. Right. And then this was even, we started building that relationship even before the whole immersive tech thing. Right. A lot of our back-end technology rests on their clouds, and we use Azure extensively. And today we are at a stage where most of the people we interact with at Microsoft India, if they have a customer who's talking immersive tech, they take us to the table as their immersive tech partners and saying, hey, you want to talk AR, VR, talk to GoPhygital. Right. And that has helped us because the minute a partner like a Microsoft, they endorse you, the confidence at a client automatically increases. Completely. So it has been interesting. We are now trying to take it to the next level where we want to work with the global teams at all these respective places. I mean, Facebook, we've just kind of started. So far, we've just kind of been on the fringe. And yes, we have all the Oculuses, the various versions of Oculuses in the studio. And the new one too. And the new one too. Absolutely. Bought it on launch day. Bought it on launch day. So, but at the same time, we think there's a lot more which can be done. We are trying to build deeper relationships with all these ecosystem players, be it Google, be it Apple, because they are kind of the influencers to drive any new technology. I was talking to the folks at Google India some time back and saying, hey, AR, VR, and they are pretty excited about AR, VR as an industry. And Apple has always been a big proponent of augmented reality. I mean, Tim Cook has gone on record to say AR is kind of the thing which they'll be focusing on. Facebook is making some big moves. Microsoft obviously has the HoloLens 2 and the HoloLens, which kind of is out there. So, the idea is to kind of try and see how closely you can align with them. And we are doing whatever best we can to see how closely we can work with these guys and at least be on their radar, such that whenever anybody in their system thinks AR, VR, they think about GoPhygital. Completely. Any personal moonshots or for the company GoPhygital, your vision? Well, the time when we started GoPhygital, and this kind of came to kind of add to my last statement before this question, that for me it is to take GoPhygital at a level where when I was growing up, there used to be this television commercial of a paint company called Jensen and Nicholson. And they had a very catchy tagline which said, whenever you think of color, think of us. And for me, I want people to kind of I want to be one of those few companies out there that whenever people think of XR,
Right.
AR, VR,
Right.
GoPhygital should be up there amongst
Right.
the top few companies where
Right.
they think, oh, okay,
Right.
that's interesting. Let's talk
Right.
to
Right.
Go and
Right.
let's help our business go phygital. Let's
Right.
talk to GoPhygital.
Right. Right.
So it is. I mean, and I think the next step for us is while India has been a really good market for us
Right.
to start seeding,
Mhm.
the next phase of growth will come from international alliances
Right.
to see how we can scale globally in some of the key markets out there.
Right.
So, yeah, hopefully uh, we should be there pretty soon.
Lovely. Lovely. Any last words to the audience? Would you want to say anything to the audience?
I think keep the faith.
Right.
XR is something which
Right.
is out there. Yes, it might look at times tough.
Right.
The sell is always tough,
Right.
but as this is always darkest before the dawn.
Right. Yeah.
So I think we just need to look at how AR, VR, and gaming and these immersive tech platforms keep people engaged both at a consumer and a enterprise level.
Right.
And everybody needs to work hand in hand. to achieve
Completely.
that.
Completely. So thank you, Rina. Thank you for
Pleasure.
being part of XROM podcast.
My pleasure. Abhi.
So it was a pleasure talking to Ninad. And what I take from this conversation is the passion, the vision for being the company for XRVR. And I'm really happy with this conversation because I've known Ninad since maybe from the Immersion VR Fest, but his passion really connects with me, and his vision and his desire to be the number one company in India. And I would be so happy to see GoPhygital be a global iconic AR VR company. And I wish that we have more tech companies from India, which makes a name globally, because I guess that's what is missing from India. We have the talent, we have some great engineers, technicians, but I guess they all run away to the West. But I guess it's about time you guys need to come back. India is brilliant. We have brilliant
Absolutely.
people sitting over here, and we can do great things. Yeah. So in that note, Tata, bye bye. Thank you for joining XR Home Podcast. It was a pleasure to have you guys. I'll see you guys next time.